Hello. My name's Jimeoin. I shall be hosting Rage tonight, and I'll be playing songs that I've picked, songs that have meant things to me. I'm not getting paid for doing this, so I'm going to nick all the merchandise and model it as well throughout the night. But yeah, so you're stuck with me for tonight. The first song I'm going to play is Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Relax. It's got a cracking whoo, whoo in it. And I got a stop at the end. And this was one of those big songs when I was young that kind of changed things. I don't know in what way. But we used to gather around at a friend's house and they would play the top 30 so you knew where a song was when it was coming in to the charts. They said it was coming in at number 4 and they played number 5 and you had the tape recorder ready and you had to tape, the 2 buttons and the pause, and then they would go, and this week, number 5, and then you would release pause, and then you would record that song, and then that would be a way of having those songs without any of the DJ talking. So yeah, this is one of those songs that I had on cassette recorder that I illegally recorded. Relax, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Boy George, keep me in mind. Don't even remember this one. Boy George was the trendiest guy of his time. Super trendy. Very average dancer, I thought. He only did one dance. He just used to do this. Come on, chameleon. You come. And he did 2 that side, and he did 1 that, I don't know why. Come on, chameleon. 1, 2, 1. And who else was there? Was Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Nicks. She had the dress. She used to do that. So this is Fleetwood Mac, Gypsy. Some of the younger people watching the show, this is an album, right? This is a record, right? There's a record in it, right? And you got to watch it when you're taking out. You got to be very careful. You slip it back in. You got to watch. You don't break the seal because sometimes you can slip it in and you rip the side of it. So you've got to get it inside that bit and put it away properly. Very important to put it away properly. So if you had a party in the house and someone was playing music, we got up and danced to a song. We got up dancing, and then the end of that song, the record come off, and you have to put another record on, and this take quite some time, and everyone just had to stand on the dance floor just waiting for the next song, and then off again. But also you had to get it at the right speed because albums were played at 33 and a third, and singles were 45, and then there used to be these ones here. They were 78, right? You could have a lot of fun playing a record at the wrong speed. We used to play the Bee Gees album at 78, and because they sound like chipmunks, and they really sound like chipmunks if you get them at the wrong speed. But yeah, and I went back and I had my sisters they had a Kate Bush album, and I had the Sex Pistols. And when you played records, they were all over the place. So anyway, my parents passed away. I went back home to Ireland, and the only thing I took back was a few records. And the thing I really cherished was Never Mind the Bollocks. And I took it all the way back. I bought a record player and got it out and opened it, and it wasn't even in the cover. It was a Kate Bush album, and Never Mind the Bollocks. Here's the next one. I don't even know what the next song is. Who cares? It's late at night. Just sit back and watch. I was talking to a friend. We're talking about the best summer that we ever had. And I decided it was 1985. I think it was 1985. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, in this summer in London, I went to Glastonbury, £5. It rained the whole time. We didn't see a single band. It rained that much. It was a nightmare. I went and saw Barry McGuigan beat Pedrosa at Loftus Road. He's a boxer. He's from Northern Ireland. That was £15, but it went to 15 rounds, so it was £1 a round, good value. And I went to Live Aid, and that was £25. And anyway, 2 friends came over. I was in a bed sit in Kilburn. They slept on the floor. They were a little bit older than me. And they kind of fell out at the start of the day. Lady Diana was coming in the car, and he said something, and then they were treating me like the way they treated me when I was living in Ireland. I was trying to get across to them. I was a grown-up man. I was a big boy. Anyway, they stood at the back and they're doing this, and I thought, right, I'm not having this. And they're annoying me anyway. So I left, and I spent like maybe a good 2 or 3 hours just getting past people all the way to the front row, and I stood at the front row for the entire day. I had a pair of pumps on. They were stinking, and people moved away from me because they were that smelly. I had a little bit of a space around me at the very front of Live Aid, and you know, Queen, everyone knows that moment. But yeah, so this is someone else who was there on the night. Paul Young, Love of the Common People. Right, here's a gag. Guy goes to the doctor, and the doctor says to him, "You've got gash." He goes, "What's that?" And he goes, "Oh, it's the worst. It's gonorrhea, AIDS, syphilis, and herpes. And you're going to have to go to the hospital, and the only thing you can eat is Vita-Weeks." And he goes, "Why Vita-Weeks?" He goes, "That's the only thing that can slip under the door." Here's another song. This next band, I met the lead singer. I did a gig with him once, and I brought him on stage. I was the MC, and I introduced him as Chris instead of Colin. I think he was a bit shirty with me. Anyway, I ended up at the Edinburgh Fringe for the first time ever, and he was in the flat next door from me, and he was doing an acoustic show. And I used to go and watch it every night just as a way of unwinding after my show. And he played an acoustic version of this song, and it's such a beautiful song, such a haunting song. But it's Overkill, Men at Work. Rage. This next band, I kind of knew through a friend. His name was Mark Ashton, and he was friendly with Jimmy Somerville. And the BRONSKI beat had just broken. Jimmy Somerville was the lead singer. They made a film about Mark Ashton. I went to see that film. Didn't even know it was about him. It was called Pride. Anyway, Mark unfortunately died of AIDS when he was 26, and that was back in 1986. And, you know, like, we've gone through a pandemic now, and the pandemic now, by comparison, was pretty weak. Like, if you got in close contact with someone, you had to isolate for 7 days. And in that 7 days, you're thinking, what if I've got it, you know, and I've given it to everyone else? Back in the 80s, if you slept with someone you didn't know, 7 years of people just panicking, thinking, what if I've got it? And that was the sort of period of the 80s. We seem to forget that. It's horrible. I suffered from PAIDS, the paranoia of AIDS. I think a lot of people did. But here's BRONSKI beat, Small Town Boy. This next artist, oh wow, Prince. Remember they used to hold up CDs and albums. Anyway, this album, Sign of the Times, I bought tickets for that tour, and he cancelled it in London. But before that, my first introduction to Prince was, he was at the Brit Awards, and he had a bouncer, and it's when Purple Rain came out, and the media, the press, they billed him as an idiot, an absolute, you know, just a twat, like, and he had this massive big bodyguard. And I used to work at gigs in Wembley Arena, Wembley Stadium, for bands coming in, and I did Prince, the Parade tour. I wasn't interested, wasn't the slightest bit interested. Anyway, the first night I went and watched, and I was just, oh my God, this guy's the business. And I was there every night. I got hypnotized. It was like a religious experience. He was the first guy to do that. Remember that move there? Do you remember? But everyone in the band, there was a whole line of them, and they all went the opposite way. And that was the first time I'd ever seen that move. And he was small, but he was able to bounce onto the piano, onto the speaker, it'd be real high. And he'd come in and he'd do a sound check every night at 6 o'clock before the show started. And I got wind of this, so I'd be there, and you could just shout out to him, play Raspberry Beret, and he was on drums going boom, 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 boom. And yeah, and then, you know, if you saw him then, he was maybe 26 at the time. He was quite young. But yeah, he just Prince, God, absolute God, mountains. Watch him dance, by the way. Welcome back. All of this merchandise is available online. If you want any of this stuff, I'm sure. Can you get it online? You can get it online. I'm sure you can get it online. And even this, it's a beanie. I don't know what it's for, but the hood is on backwards. And the pockets. Not a big seller, this one, for some reason. Anyway, this next band from my record collection, this is Echo and the Bunnymen. Ian McCulloch, a great front man. Same surname as my mother's maiden name. There you go. And this is called Killing Moon. This next track, back in the 90s, I had a TV show, and in the TV show we had a segment, a cooking segment. We didn't cook anything, but we used to go down escalators. Bob Franklin and I used to go down these, pretend we're going down these escalators, and it became kind of like a signature thing. And people say, where do you get that from? But I nicked it from, I saw Top of the Pops, and Top of the Pops was on BBC on a Thursday, and you couldn't record it, and you had to just be at home. Everyone was at home to watch it, and there was a band, SHAMALAR, with the song Get Ready, and I think the lead singer was pregnant, so she couldn't go on the show, but another guy in the band was a dancer, and he said, I'll just go on the show and dance. His name was Jeffrey Daniels, not Jeffrey Dahmer, that's a different guy, couldn't dance. But Jeffrey Daniels came on, and it created this whole revolution of breakdancing. He did the moonwalk. That was the first time anyone had seen the moonwalk on TV, and so they had him on the next week. And the next week wasn't as good, to be honest, but he did do a little escalator in it, and that's what I took away from it, and I kept in the bank and used it years later on my own cooking show. Here's Shalimar, Get Ready, or A Night to Remember. I can't remember which one it is. The beast in me is caged by frail and fragile bars, restless by day, but by night rants and raves at the stars. This next song, we did a copyright issue with this because the people that wrote it or performed it, the copyright had to go to the Rolling Stones. Anyway, it's one of those bizarre laws with copyright, because we don't have copyright laws in stand-up. And the Rolling Stones, they're a blues band, so they stole black people's music and went to America and became big stars singing black people's music. And that would be like me going to America, and going on TV and becoming famous for doing an Eddie Murphy routine or something. What's happening, you motherfucker? Hey, motherfucker! All right, shit. That was my Eddie Murphy impression. It's not an impression of my friend doing it, Eddie Murphy. He can't do Eddie Murphy, and I absolutely nailed that. So anyway, this is the Verve, Bittersweet Symphony. You're watching Rage. I'm Jimeoin. I'm hosting it tonight. I'll keep you a couple of gags, keep you through the night. 2 aerials on a roof. Fell in love, got married. The wedding wasn't great, but the reception was fantastic. I was on a show in Australia, and this band were out here doing an ad for some car, And then I'm in a green room, and I couldn't believe I'm standing next to them, and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and Grandmaster Flash was standing there, and I'd just been to Malta, my wife's Maltese, and the Knights, the Templar Knights, were, they were called the Grandmasters. And I was making a bit of chit chat. I said to him, did you get the name Grandmaster from the Templar Knights in Malta? Because the Maltese army, the Papal Army, were based in Malta, and they were called the Grandmasters. And he looked at me and went, "Get the fuck out of here." He never knew that. And I told Grandmaster Flash where the Grandmaster came from, and he kept going on about it all night, and it made my night. Anyway, Grandmaster Flash, the Furious Five, the message. I like this sofa. It's kind of nice, isn't it? It's a bit small to be like a two-person sofa, but it's kind of nice as a one-person big comfy chair. Like just sitting by and watching TV. I might be nicking this along with a few t-shirts at the end of the night. This next song, nothing other than I just love the groove. And I've heard this groove quite a bit since it, but this is the first time I heard this drum beat. Like, it's great. Naughty by Nature. The song's Naughty by Nature. Thank you. That was called, that's that one. This one's called This Is This One. I'm joking. That's that one again. Yeah, so I'm on tour at the moment somewhere. I don't know where, but if you went to my website, you could probably see where I'm on at. And this next band, they've just been here, and you've missed them. Anyway, this is it Underworld, Born Slippy. What do you think of the beanie? Too much? This next song, this next band, it's from the rave scene, which was a very interesting time when people moved away from alcohol, and alcohol is a drug. These are drugs. Alcohol, it's a very violent drug, like lots of fights. Whereas the rave scene came along, and there was ecstasy, and everyone was having a good time, and there was illegal raves, and there was actually quite a lot happening. Like I've got a friend. He thinks because in Ireland we had the end of a war, so it coincided with the rave movement. So people just, their heart wasn't in violence as much, and it was a really nice time. And this song, the video is shot on on a home video camera, and it just really captures the night of a rave when people are young. Blind Faith, Chase, and Status. Hello, I'm Jimeoin. This is a Lou Reed song, but I did a cover of it just for a laugh. I just thought I'd do it with a really strong accent. So this is Walk on the Wild Side. Why am I up here? Who knows? No, Richard Wilkins used to do MTV. He used to sit on a sofa, and then Glenn Robbins did a sketch, or it was on the Comedy Company, and he did a piss take of it where Glenn was just pretending to be Richard Wilkins sitting. And always made me laugh. This is Danny Man by me.